Hey everybody, I'm Dane Sanders and I want to welcome you to Fast Track Coaching. We have been at this now for coming up on 3.5 years, pretty much every Tuesday for a long time. I've had the chance to be in conversation with some of the best and most inspiring creatives and business people that I've ever had a chance to meet. And I realized a long time ago that I was being a little selfish to only be on the call by myself, and thought it might be resourceful to open the call to other people to pay attention and listen and hopefully get something valuable that you can apply to your business and your creativity and move just a little forward this week. And this week is no exception. Before I introduce my guests, I just want to give you a little heads up. Number one, the best way to participate with this is to be active in the conversation, whether it's on Twitter or in the live chat if you're watching it live, or in the replay afterwards. In any of the social spaces, I really encourage you to engage the conversation, to extend it, to get even more value out of it. And number two, I want to just always be mindful that if it wasn't for the amazing folks over at Adorama being willing to underwrite this whole thing, it just couldn't happen. And just super grateful to Joel and all those guys over there. And if you get any value from these weekly conversations, my encouragement is to thank those folks by doing a couple things. One, thank them on Twitter or Facebook or wherever at Adorama is a great way to do it. Another alternative is to actually, if you're going to buy some gear, buy from the people who are supporting what you're really committed to and what's helping you in your business. And if Adorama is that place, my encouragement is for you is to take advantage of that. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to my newer friends. Actually had a chance to get to know each other a little bit at WPPI, and since then I've had a number of conversations. But Byron and Wendy Rowe are based in Bend, Oregon, and are photographers. Had a chance to speak at Photog Ignite, or I forget what it's called at WPPI, basically where they get to bring it in 5 minutes. And without further ado, welcome to the show, you guys. I'm so pleased to have you on.
Thanks, Dane. We're excited to be with you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons why I was compelled to have you guys on the call is because of our conversations offline, specifically around the creative process as a couple. For myself and how I run my business, my wife is a huge part of my business, but not functionally. She's an advocate, a support, a brilliant aid in that she sees things that I just can't see. She's an advisor and head of the board kind of thing. And that's how we've worked out our dynamic. And I've talked to other couples in the industry over the years who there's so many different ways to calibrate how you set your business up and how you work together around strengths and so forth. And I loved hearing about you guys and how you approach the process, and you do it in a hard-hitting way. You want to make it count, but you also have a lightheartedness to the process of collaborating, and you've accounted and are conscious to so many different dynamics that play in that way. Talk a little bit about your progression as photographers to get to where you are at today, and as well as how the dynamic of you two trying to do it together has played into your work.
Yeah.
I just want to start with a little easy question out of the gate. Just
Nice. I love it. Bring it on.
All right.
Starting off, it was just me, and I've been a photographer since high school, but I didn't go that route right away. I got a journalism degree. I got a master's in teaching, and then I kind of wondered, I needed to find what I really truly loved in my heart.
Yeah.
And so, creating a business by yourself is great. You got all the time in the world. You got all this. You don't have. You can focus on whatever you want. It doesn't mean that your business is going to be successful.
That's right.
But it feels good because you're doing whatever you want.
It's absolute freedom.
Right. Absolute freedom. Mm-hmm. So I knew that I wanted Wendy and I to work together. I knew that the business was only going to benefit by getting somebody else involved. And she had such a good skill set to complement mine that I knew that it could take our business in a direction like 100 times quicker.
Okay, so Wendy, I need to hear from you on this. how would you frame coming in? Like, what did you see as the resources on the table with Byron, and what did you see as what you had to bring to contribute?
Mm-hmm. Well, this was several years ago, but when looking back on it, one of the things that was so amazing was to see, Byron just come into his own and just own his passion and go after it 100%. So it's kind of hard to not want to be a part of that, honestly, when he's loving life and you're working the 9 to 5 and doing that thing. I have a web marketing background and design degree as well in journalism. And so that design element, I had taken photography classes and stuff like that. But it came at it more from an art and business angle. And, so a lot of those types of web marketing tips and techniques, that's kind of where my background and I come from. I've also owned my own business as well in the past. And, I kind of understood a little bit of the hardships and a little bit of the, the successes of that. So, several years ago when our business was growing, we had a year where we had 3 destination weddings, and one of which was in Italy, and we wanted to spend some extra time over there, and my boss was like, no, that's not going to happen. And so that was it. We were kind of ready, and I wanted to just jump on board. And in all reality, I think it was kind of the romantic view at first of
Sure.
jumping in head first with your the love of your life and traveling and shooting and doing something that was very meaningful to other people as well as to yourself. So that's where it started. But I was very used to, in my past industry, of going 100 miles an hour, all the time. And, working, just jumping in and starting to work together, you bring in a whole different dynamic. So it definitely, the first year it changed things for sure. And, we've been working on figuring successful solutions ever since.
Well, it's funny. I when you said the phrase, you kind of went in with a romantic mindset, and I'm thinking of my viewers, our viewers, the people at home being a part of this conversation. They're not my viewers. They're just humans who are on the call with us. There's just a lot of romanticism going on in and around the creative professions, especially photography, it seems, because there's an ease of access, and it's not very challenging to envision, gosh, I love photography, I love my spouse or my partner, and I want to go create some, and we can go do this. There's no barrier to participate. And yet the romantic and the reality don't always mingle. There's challenges that come with it. And as you guys went, as Byron, you went from independent creative to collaborator, with this high power, marketing, I'm guessing high expectation partner. And actually, because my guess is there were some bumps in the road. And what I make up, the classic cliche is, okay, artist meets business person. They have great ideas on the back of a napkin and over coffee. And then push comes to shove. It's like, wait a second, you want me to do what? And it seems like it would kind of be complex, but I'm just making that up in my head. Maybe that's not what happened. Why don't you fill me in? What happened? What actually happened next when the romantic ended and you actually started getting the work done? Because here's what we don't want to do: is we don't want to have a conversation where we paint an unrealistic picture for folks at home, and then they go, "Well, they can do it, I can do it, I'm going to go after it," and then when they hit bumps in the road, they're like, "I must be abnormal." But what's normal are the bumps in the road. So I want to go there. Tell me. What's that?
I think it's so easy to want to picture or paint a view of everyth's going great. But we're all humans, all right? And we all have issues, and we all are emotional in our own way. So when we started working together, at first you kind of take some of that excitement and everything, and it goes into it. But then once that kind of wears off, all of a sudden you kind of sink back into your own personalities in a way. Sure. Like really what makes you unique. So I'm actually the more of the emotional person, and Wendy's more of the, okay, how do we get that
Get it done.
done? Right? So it was,
I don't care about your stinking artistic expression. Are we going to sell this thing or not?
Exactly. That freedom being gone is, I think.
yeah, oh, it really became clear to me that it wasn't helping either of us out because, and you don't even see it at first. It's, you get this great idea. Oh my God, I'm so excited about this. And your ego's not there. It's just like you're all encompassed in this idea about what you want your blog to look like, what do you want how you want your images to look like, different places to take your engagement couple, areas to shoot at a wedding, whatever. And you throw that out and the other person, I mean, it's not that they're trying to put you down. They're really not, but it's their way of thinking. And
how's that going to be done? Is that going to be safe? How long is that going to take? Is that possible? All those questions, like I just spit out before I even thought about them, or how the other person would take that.
And I think that also it depends on how resilient you are, as a person. I evidently am so emotional that when I hear all these limitations, I start to kind of get, the exuberance, the excitement it gets squashed, right?
Okay, so this is great. So Wendy and I, Wendy, if it doesn't work out with Byron, give me a call. Because we're going to get some work done. See, here's the thing. Like what you've tapped into, and I know you get this more than anyone does, Byron, is that is gold to a creative professional. To have someone who can let you be creative, but to bring the structure around that creativity in such a way that you're getting the result you say you're committed to getting. And when your internal commitment is to create as an end in itself, and her job description is, no, our job is to have a viable, healthy business, and those two kind of seemingly clash, but then all of a sudden can collaborate. It's pretty magical. So talk a little bit about, as you encountered those challenges, what were some things that you guys did to help make the most out of the unique strengths that you brought to the table? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. We can grab the signs.
Well,
I love these signs, by the way. I think they're great.
So we had Wendy's sister come down from San Francisco, and she helped us to rip our business apart, like define our roles within the company, create systems, outline all the different concepts we work on, sales, editing, and then I had a little how do you say it?
Temper tantrum.
Temper tantrum. And I cried a little, ran out, did a couple errands, came back, maybe cleaned the garage, and then came back, and her sister had written these signs up for us. So, I mean, it really says a lot, actually, the stuff underneath it.
Well, it's funny. I'm actually surprised that, Byron, you're the CEO. I thought Wendy would be.
You're right, and I should let's replay a little. That I think that your viewers might be thinking that I am all creative and have no concept.
Great point. Because even the way I'm contributing to that perception, because I'm painting it like a caricature, and of course it's never like a caricature. There's always complex. Wendy actually has creative parts, and she's not Spock-like, in her engagement. And Byron, actually, he was in business before she ever showed up and knew how to make things work. But what's interesting is as you guys collaborate, you can lean even more into these areas of real expertise, real kind of alignment with what you can do best when you're freed up to not have to attend to everything. Is that a fair way to put it?
Absolutely. And a lot of it too is like, where are we going as a company, and how do we see, the future of this? And for us, down the road, we want to have kids. We don't have kids right now. And, I know that I want to have the flexibility and possibility of becoming, part of managing a family and be able to step in and step out. So a lot of our role-based was not necessarily where we are today, but also, where we want to be in the future.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Which is why it's not ROE photography, it's Byron ROE photography.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was actually Wendy who propelled me to go after my dream. Back 5 years ago, I was a teacher, and I found that I wanted to be around the kids and just play with them more than deal with the system. And so, Wendy said two things to me. She said, if you really look into your heart, you will know what you want to do. And I said, bullshit.
Yeah, right.
I really didn't believe that. Because at that point, I hadn't tapped into that either.
Yeah.
And then the other thing she said is, if you really are doing what you love, you will make money at it. And I said BS to that too. But the more that I look at what's happened, I fully believe that we all know what we want to do. We all totally know what we want to do in this world that'll make us happy. But all the limitations, all of our years of all the stuff that's been said to us and everything has prevented us from doing that.
All the fears.
All the fears.
So these signs.
Well, because I'm with you, man. Because I know there are people who are being like watching this right now who are literally they're saying the same thing that you said to Wendy to themselves right now. Like, yeah, that's fine for you, because you're looking at it in retrospect. I'm looking at it forward, terrified. Am I willing to take a risk on me? And all of those internal limiting conversations that are happening for folks. How did you overcome those? How did that? And not like it's done. Like all of us have to overcome them every day. But what are some things that you would do to remove those limits so you can stay more committed to what you're really up to?
Between the two of us?
Yeah.
With regards, I think one of the things is really understanding that the whole point of working together is to get to a higher level. And understanding that and listening to the other person. So when the other person says, this isn't working for me, how you're what you're saying to me, your delivery. A lot of times it's how somebody delivers the message is where the confusion lies.
Not necessarily the message itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Great insight.
So being really open, being extremely open to what the other person has to say, not with regards to a different idea, but really the issues that they're dealing with regards to collaborating.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think when you really kind of know what you want to go after, there's always a sense of fear. And in honesty, you can kind of let that fear be your guide. And because there's always going to be a sense of uncomfortableness when you're going in the right direction at first. Always. And being able to embrace that uncomfortableness, knowing that it's going to get better, knowing that it's just something like an emotion that's, just going to come and pass. Is, you're able to really keep focused on the goal and keep focused on, what you're trying to create together and push through.
Well, Wendy, in that, I mean, it sounds like, and if this is what you're saying, it really resonates with me. This idea of, the fear. The fear is like a sign that you can read that goes, "Oh, I'm on the right course," as opposed to if you're not feeling some kind of tension or some kind of pressure, you're probably not. You're not really thrusting yourself between where you are and where you want to go. You're still comfortable in the old space, and to really frame in your mind that pain, doubt, struggle, those are the indicators that you're probably moving in the right direction. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, we've had times where we're like, do we really want to do this? Do we really want to continue? Like, this is really hard. And during those times when we've been having those moments, when you take a second to reflect all that you've done, where you're going, what you know is possible, and you look within, the times that we've come to that moment of truth, I'm going to call it, have been the times when it's been very clear to us, yes, we're on the right path, we're doing the right thing. We just have to work on this one area. And as long as you keep kind of tapping in, testing that, like, am I supposed to be here? Am I supposed to be doing this? And, the answer you keep getting is yes, we keep plugging forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anything you want to add to that, Brian?
I was just thinking that, this concept of fear and, getting over it, I think it's so easy to say, hey, just take yourself out of it and know that, the idea of knowing that it will get better, like having faith.
There's that F word again. It's funny. Faith is a funny deal. When folks think about, faith traditions or religion or whatever, there's certainly a lot of resistance to, having faith. But I'm with you, man. I think regardless of your faith tradition, it's an act of faith to bet on you, to bet on me, for me to bet on me, is trusting that something more is going to come out than what is currently present. I'm in agreement. It's a radical idea that you're going to engage in the hopes that this pain and suffering will turn into something bigger and better than you've ever thought possible.
Yeah.
The more you do that, the more you experience that it does, the easier it gets. I mean,
and you know what? I want to add to that I think we all come from different situations in our lives, and on the two spectrums, you have people that things fit in their world really well, and they were successful, so they gained a lot of. I think a lot has to come down to the confidence that you have. A lot has to come down to maybe not how much confidence you have. Maybe you've never been in business before for yourself. Maybe you don't have a lot of knowledge about photography. But if you have had success in the past regarding something else, you know how to create confidence for yourself. And I think that people that have had less of that are more fearful about pushing themselves, because they're kind of thinking, okay, I don't, in the past I've done this and this, and man, it didn't pan out. And then I did this and this, and I really tried hard, or I thought I tried hard, and it didn't pan out. And so I think that it's, for different people, they have to push themselves at different levels to get to a higher level.
I want to go, if you don't mind, I want to go actually answer one of the questions that we had started in terms of like some of the things that we do in the creative space working together.
Yeah.
More of a hands-on thing. And this also is leading, and kind of talking about what you're talking about too, Brian, is, when we are working on new things, and this is something I have struggled with, but
give me an example. What's a new thing you're working on?
Let's say new ideas for a shoot.
Okay. So concepts.
Concept.
Got it.
Either that, or even if it's just like blog design concepting.
Okay.
Whatever the idea is, we almost kind of, I have to think in my head, okay, this is brainstorming time. And it's just like, I have to have a word that says to me in my head, don't say anything about how it's going to get done, how much money it's going to cost.
Yeah.
All of those technician structure, almost sometimes critical or negative, potentially. Basically derailments from the brainstorming session.
Yeah,
and so
like
right. As long as we classify that session, knowing that what we are needing to create, it kind of generally builds from all of those ideas, it's so much easier.
Well, it's funny, you're inspiring me. There's some really great research on the creative process that suggests there's at least four stops in that, or 4 roles that need to be played along the way, and that there's a bias towards different roles depending on our temperament and so forth. And they talk, what are the metaphors? It's Von Ankel or someone wrote about it, and he talks about the collector, the process of collecting, just grabbing, this and this and maybe this, and going, okay, what these used to be car key and a mug and a mouse, but what could I if I collect all these things? That's step 1. Step 2 is like, what could I rearrange with them, and then like what's possible, and then another step is like, it's so funny, I almost put my coffee mug on my mouse pad, but that process, you absolutely, if you want to max out the creative process, you have to limit and just say, look, I'm not in implementation mode right now. I'm exclusively in collecting and recasting what's possible. And then after you come up with all these creative ideas, to cut that process off and go, okay, we're done coming up with new ideas. Now we're actually going to see what's actually doable. Mm-hmm. And then we're actually going to go do it. That's even another category of like being the warrior and getting it done. That seems like that's what you're describing.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. It's like when you're in that brainstorming, space, that's when, you're most fragile in terms of confidence level too. Mm-hmm. Like you're really pushing the envelope, and it would be very easy to be like, no, that's not going to work. And then kill the energy. Mm-hmm. And so, one of the things that we've done is just kind of almost label it and say, okay, we're brainstorming, and be able to classify it. And then there's no bad idea. There's nothing that sucks, and even if you think in your head, oh my God, that's so not going to work, usually that idea leads to the idea.
Sure.
And if you cut off the early one, you never get to the good one.
So that makes sense to me if you're allowed to have every good idea at the front end of it. But what about on the back end when you're actually implementing? Are you allowed to say no new ideas? Or at least not now, because we're getting that idea to market?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to get so excited about the process that at some point you're wasting time. You're not getting anything really truly accomplished
in the real world, right?
At some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that the creation of the ideas is no problem, but it's how to stop the creation of ideas.
Yeah.
And really put a time when it's
technician.
Well, now it's how to.
Yeah.
The managerial side is now, okay, how are we going to do this to make it work for all of us?
So, in part of the other thing that we're doing too is changing how we speak to each other.
Language is powerful. I agree.
And it's the language. I mean, that's something. So my sister is like an executive coach, if you will. Mm-hmm. And she was talking with me now that we've decided that I'm the employee. Mm-hmm. I have on the back here, I'm not allowed to say you should do this, but what do you think of this? When I have a new thing in my head about.
Yeah, it sounds way more resourceful. You're come from. That's great.
So creating how you want to be spoken to each other, or that type of language, has also been super helpful.
So it sounds like the experience obviously it's a sibling, so your inroad into it was probably a little more easy than for other folks, but the idea of coaching and input, I'm a little biased in asking this question because I do this work with a lot of folks in our industry, but it sounds like that experience has been really constructive for you.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, to have somebody come in, it's like having somebody it's like having a therapist say, hey, you know what? Everybody has these issues. And you go, oh, okay. All right. And then it makes everything going on okay.
Normal. Right.
Or you're not second guessing yourself going, should I be doing something else? Am I on the wrong path?
Right.
Is this just or feeling isolated?
Yeah, having another person, outside force, look in and then call you on your stuff and go, you might think that this is a productive way of going about like working with Wendy, but it's not really working for the both of you.
Based on results, right.
Yeah, so what was the point? Let's think back to when you decided to bring her into the picture. What was the main reasoning for that? And I think that's the joke of wanting to have the excitement of wanting your spouse or wanting somebody that is really close to you to work with you. At first it's like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine like we'll be able to take time out of our day to go do something fun. Right. We'll be able to, to just be around each other and go spend more quality time. But the funny thing is, it's like, it never happens. Right?
Well, unless you're committed to it.
Okay. I mean, it's all of a sudden you're involved in your business so much that finally when you have time off, it's like, oh God, what do we talk about? Oh, the business.
Yeah. Right. You have to put a cap on it.
So, it's like keep on going back to what was the whole point?
Yeah, what are you committed to?
Yeah, what was the whole excitement that you had of getting together with, for your business?
Right. Well, it's funny. I just got off I do these Fastermind groups where they're basically small groups of people who are kind of masterminding around the fast track mindset. And really, 6 to 9 people trying to get really concrete and serious about raising the bar with their business in a 3-month period, basically. And I can't believe the resource, not only for us to stay on task with kind of looking accurately about what's going on and what were you committed to and where did you kind of get off the rails and how can you get back on the rails and go again. And what I've been really impressed by isn't just one person coaching another person, but to have the whole cohort of people rally around an individual and then be shifting. And it's so funny to see one individual on the call in one moment just be totally blind to what seems obvious to everybody else. And then the next moment, when that person is then standing for another person, they see it clear as day what's going on for that person. And the resistance individually, and yet the resource when they're helping someone else. And eventually they develop eyes to see and they can self-correct and make adjustments quickly. That kind of dynamic is the kind of thing that, honestly, it's pretty vacant. I don't see many of these, whether it be a small group kind of coaching environment or business coaching like you guys have experienced, I've experienced. I get to do this business coaching with a lot of studios. I'm surprised that there isn't more of that. And maybe it's just because we're a cottage vertical industry. But I'm surprised at how few people take advantage of it when every other profession has professional coaches. Like professional sports, they all have coaches. Like in so many different contexts, that's just so. But in our industry, there's a real resistance to it, yet people who engage it seem to get a lot of value from it. What do you think that's about? Why do you think so few people want to take advantage of that kind of a resource? Is it just because business coach has such a bad name, or what do you think?
I had a friend tell me once that everybody needs a coach. Like everybody should have a coach. And It took me a little bit to be like, you know what, you're right. And that was all it took, I think, for me personally to kind of
give yourself permission to see if there's a resource in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the nice thing about having a sibling, and this is a very rare case to have, somebody with executive kind of experience, but at the same time know us so that we could feel safe to share emotional things with them. But that's the thing. It's like there's coaching, business coaching, but then there's like the emotional dynamic. And so finding a coaching experience that has both of those is, I didn't even know if it existed. So,
well, I mean, what you're speaking to, it sounds like it, and it makes sense to me. Is some of it is just there might not be a lot of supply of quality coaches who have that sensitivity and can build rapport and a set of contexts where people would feel safe, and you guys were given a bit of a gift in having that open up with your sibling, but it is possible that people can actually be their whole selves and still try to be working out these crazy business dynamics in collaboration.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons that people are apprehensive I think a coach to a lot of people means structure. And I think that structure
they don't really want it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that structure, at least for a lot of creatives, means
limits.
The inability to do what is right for them.
Right.
And going on with that, now you're doing if you're doing something for somebody else, then you're not being true to yourself, which is going against, who you are.
Yeah. So
your ideals.
But that's not actually true, is it?
No.
Right.
No. It's interesting. It's interesting, like the concept of structure in terms of. I know in the past for myself that I've looked at structure as preventing me from living. Okay, preventing me from enjoying every part of the moment. And it's tough to say, but the more.
But Wendy's right. No, that's not what you're saying. Sorry.
For me, what I've seen is that the more you don't. It's not structure in your whole life. It's structure to make you.
That's right.
Allow yourself more creativity.
That's great.
Okay, we only have 24 hours a day, and owning your own business requires you to have focus.
Yeah.
So, how do you take time to be creative within the focus?
That's great.
Okay.
We're textbook cases of opposites attract.
Well, you should hang out with Tammy and I. That would be great. Hey, guys, thank you so much for being on this call. I'm so grateful, and I love where this is going. I'm confident folks who are participating in this they have their own internal conversation going on around all these things. And if folks want to check out your work or find out more about what you guys are up to, where should they go?
They can go to our website, Byron Rowe Photography, studio-br.com.
Okay.
Our Facebook page is just facebook.com/Byron Rowe Photography, and we'd be happy to answer questions or comments.
That's great.
Yeah, or Twitter, Byron Rowe, @Byron Rowe, and @Wendy Rowe.
Awesome. And it's Wendy with a Y.
Wendy with a Y.
Got it.
And Byron, B-Y-R-O-N.
Right, not Brian.
Yeah, and R-O-E, yeah.
Why? Because we like you. Okay, so also, if you guys are curious about, this wasn't planned, but I'm glad it actually came up in conversation. If you guys are listening to this and you're like, yeah, I really could use some resource, whether it be one-on-one, which is more of an investment, or if you're like, look, I just need help and I want to do it in a group context, we have a lot of resources available at Fast Track. So the Fast Track, the Fastermind groups that are running all the time right now, at like really inexpensive compared to one-on-one stuff, but all the way up to one-on-one if you want someone under the hood of your business. All that's available to you. It's just a matter of, are you going to take advantage of the resource? And I hope you do. Reach out to me by email, Dane@DaneSanders.com, and I'm happy to tell you more about that stuff. But that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for being here. You're always welcome in the future, and I'm so glad that we providentially had a chance to connect.
Totally. Thanks, Dane.
All right.
Enjoy.
And by the way, if this is helpful, again, be sure to thank Adorama and be sure to thank these guys online. These kinds of conversations are super encouraging to me, and I hope they are to you too. So if they are, be sure to reach out and say thanks. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Okay, take care, Dan. Thanks.
Bye-bye.